Hey there, it's Monkey. We're going to be going through beating the bones out of Bonemass today, and I'm going to walk you through all aspects of that fight. Gear, food, layout of the terrain, all that jazz. I'm also going to cover even the nuance between how I would approach it if I were just playing this in vanilla as opposed to the way I'm playing it right now, which is using Epic Loot. And I'm going to cover that first. So if I were doing this in vanilla, I would have almost all of my gear upgraded to iron if I was taking him on, particularly solo. If I was taking him on with a friend, that changes the aspects a little bit, and I'll talk about that too. But for a solo fight, I'd probably have most of my gear upgraded to iron. If you had a full set of troll and it was relatively well upgraded, and you're good at dodging and stuff like that, you could totally take on Bonemass with that set of armor without necessarily having to grab iron pieces. But you could also maybe like just do an iron helmet. An iron helmet doesn't have a movement penalty either, only the legs and the chest do. So going back in here and looking at it, you'll see that the iron has a 5% movement speed penalty. Bronze has a 5% movement speed penalty, right? But your headgear has no movement speed penalty. Same with your cloak, but that just doesn't provide a lot of armor, so that's not really material right now. For weaponry, again, if you were doing vanilla, you still want an iron mace. About the best you could upgrade. I would go with no less than a 3 in terms of that. You could actually upgrade an iron mace all the way to level 4. That's another 10% damage bump, 73 blunt as opposed to 67 blunt. That's a pretty significant bump. We're not going to need it because I feel like the extra damage I'm already getting with some of the well-rolled mods I have on my items, that's going to carry me through. So I don't need a full set of iron. I don't need maximum upgraded gear. And to be fair, I have fought Bonemass in vanilla without fully upgraded everything. It does make it smoother, but once you know the mechanics of the fight, it's really about executing the mechanics and making sure that you have your buffs up. On that note, the other weapon that you're going to want, particularly because you're solo, is some sort of an AoE melee weapon. Stag Breaker in this case is going to be a tool that's going to be useful because when Bonemass will, throughout the fight, lift up his arm, pick out a arm junk, and fling it, that's going to spawn, wherever he throws it to, a couple oozes and some skeletons. You're going to want to run to wherever he's launching that, whip out your two-handed AoE attack, and just level whatever spawns there. It keeps it under control. And this is the point where if you had a partner, if you had 2 people playing, it's very easy to put one person mainly on tanking the boss duty and the other person on throw some hits on the boss, but whenever the boss, goes to launch the slimes and oozes and skeletons, that person has a dedicated role of running out and taking care of those creeps. But being that I'm doing this solo, I've got to take care of both of those roles. Now, from an Epic Loot standpoint, gear-wise, we're in a pretty good situation here. Now, for food, if I was doing this in vanilla, I would probably do either 2 hit point foods and 1 stamina food. In other words, 2 red forks and 1 yellow fork, because I would be more concerned about maintaining good hit points. I would want to keep my health high. But because I have 50 hit points between these couple of items through Epic Loot, I'm going to go the reverse. I'm going to go 2 stamina-heavy foods in the carrot soup and the turnip stew, and 1 hit point heavy food in the sausages. As far as potions go, you definitely have to have poison resistance mead. He does way too much poison damage. He drops poison clouds all the time. You're going to need that. You drink it before he spawns, like just before he spawns. I have medium healing mead that's going to go up on my bar. I also have some minor stamina I have a lot of stamina. This, because I have 50 on the ring and 30 on the armor, plus my base stamina, plus all the food, I'm going to have a whole lot of stamina to be blocking and beating the crap out of this dude. But that also means that this 80 stamina regen potion is going to actually work out pretty darn well on my bar. I'm moving a couple things out of the way because I'm not going to need a pick. I will keep the hammer in case I need to do something with it, but generally speaking, I'm not going to need it. One of the things you're definitely going to need to bring with you when you go to summon Bonemass is withered bones, because that's what you throw into the mouth of the giant statue to summon him. We're going to pop over. I'll show you the setup for the fight, and then I'm going to cut to where I've rested back to daytime, and I've got the right food buffs, and we'll jump right into the fight, and it'll be over. I'll have spent more time explaining it than anything. Okay, for terrain setup, we have two portals. We have the portal that we came through. This is our closest portal. We actually have a second portal over by the coast. And in between those two portals, I have relatively leveled terrain. I have extra workbenches around to sort of block spawns. It will not block all of the night spawns, but the day spawns are basically blocked out in between my other portal, which is off in the distance over there. My mouse cursor's on it, and this portal here. If this portal gets destroyed by Bonemass or by his skeletons and slimes, I've done a bad job of defending it, but I have a backup just in case. If I die, I have a backup if I don't feel like running through this portal, or like I said, if it gets destroyed. Additionally, in dealing with this terrain here, normally when you approach this summoning skull, there are really deep pools of water around it. Some of them you can swim in or whatnot. I've taken my hoe and I've leveled, and I've even brought in some stone to level this up enough that I can circle about this far out. This is the, I'm not going to be this far. See how deep that is, even like knee deep? I'm not going to be this far. I'm going to be inside this area, and mostly I'm going to be circling around the skull. The fights against Bonemass, he's going to spawn somewhere around the skull, and you're basically going to tank him, sort of backpedaling away from him throughout most of the fight. He will do clouds of poison, and you'll be backpedaling out of that. He'll be summoning ads. That's when you will run farther away, perhaps, from the central stone area. You'll club those spawns down, and then you'll get back over to Bonemass and fight him near the middle again, but while circling around it. Now, I have a couple tables here. He might attack these and destroy them. That's fine. I don't care. The spawns during the day aren't going to be an issue. The night spawns would be an issue if we were fighting at night, but we're not going to fight at night. We're going to fight during the day. So yeah, make sure you level the terrain. Make sure you brought the bones you're going to summon them with. I don't remember how many bones it is. It might be, I think it's like 3, but I'm going to leave 9 in my inventory and shove 30 back in this chest. I'm going to pop back, reset everything to morning, and then eat my food, and we're just going to start the fight. Okay, we're ready to do this. We've got our food eaten. We've got our poison resistance drank. We've got 10 withered bones on our cursor, whatever thing. So we're going to hit that, put this back over here, and, oh, he's behind it. Spawning over here. There he is. Just start wailing on him. And that's what you do. You just start wailing on him. Now, normally he vomits, and that's not a good thing. The poison resist will let you stand in this for a good amount. Now he's going to throw shit. So that's where you get over here, and you take these guys down. Okay. Alright, so we're going to get away from that now. Get a little bit of stamina back up. Guess he missed me there. Okay, he's gonna throw stuff again. We definitely want to get rid of the slimes. Those are the most important thing, but... Ow. Again, you gotta backpedal out of that slime stuff that he vomits out for the most part. He did not seem to take reflected damage from hitting me. Ooh, man, I'm a little wounded here. We're gonna drink a healing potion now. There we go. Get our health up, and we're gonna finish him off right now. Now, that's definitely an easy fight when you've got a really good set of gear, and that's a lot of what Epic Loot is about. You can, you know, farm up nice items, and there's a lot of items, trophies, and there's a legendary. That's cool. Oh, look. Hugin's going to tell us that we got a parting gift. That's the wishbone that's going to let us mine up silver. We've got quite a number of... throw some of this stuff on the ground so we can loot some of these items up. Ooh, a battle axe. It does take a bit of preparation, getting the terrain laid out so you don't have to deal with getting caught up in the water, planning to fight the mobs when they spawn. If you don't have poison resist, you're gonna die. So poison resist allowed me to stand in the poison. Having a stamina potion allowed me to continue to beat on the guy. Having healing potions and all of these hit point stacked items that I have allowed me to take hits that I normally would have blocked. If I didn't have those items, I would have been way more keen on blocking. And the minute he starts looking like he's going to throw up, that was his signal that everything's going to be covered in green goop. That's your cue to back on out of there. Now, again, unless you have some pretty stacked items. Now, we got the wishbone, of course. We got a legendary Strength of the Valkyrie. That sounds pretty sweet. But everything's a health critical roll. This is actually, which means that your health has to be below 30% for any of these to happen. It's a lot of really sweet rolls. I mean, 90% attack speed, 31% feint. That's a 31% chance to avoid all damage. Movement speed, lots of, man, that's a crazy setup there on that axe that I'm never going to use. We also got an epic sword, Frost, an Executioner. That's cool. Executioner does extra damage when the target is below a certain amount of health. I'd have to look it up, but that's a really good weapon. The Frost is going to slow things down. It would be good for fighting wolves, because anything, same thing with the mace, because they both have Frost. Yeah, so that's it for taking on Bonemass. Our next episode, we're going to be going into the mountains that are south of our base. If I show you on the map here, our base is where that bed is. You can see it right there. Boop. That's where our base is. And just south of our base, we have this pretty sizable mountain range, actually, for a starting island. I mean, considering Boss Henge, the starting boss area was right over here. Pretty sizable mountain. Hopefully we'll find some silver up there. That would be sweet. We want to learn some recipes. And with the Epic Loot rules I have set up, we have to go and actually, dig up the materials and learn the recipes before we can get those kinds of drops. So I hope you enjoyed watching. I had a great time gearing up and taking on Bonemass. I'll actually, off camera, I'll probably take him on a couple more times. Bonemass has a trophy, right? and we go hang out on Boss Hedge. That gives us access to Bonemass's power, which is a really good defensive power to have. And then in Epic Loot, continuing to kill Bonemass is going to get more. He'll still drop a good item, but he'll drop another trophy, and that trophy we can melt into an epic rune stone, and then we can use that to craft or to enchant epic items. So I'm looking forward to beating the crap out of Bonemass a few more times, getting some more items, farming that stuff up, and I'm also looking forward to getting into the mountains and learning some new recipes. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, leave them down below. Don't forget to tap that like button. Let me know that you liked the video. And if you haven't yet, touch the monkey in the corner and subscribe. I really appreciate all of your support, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye. And we need to put some offerings up on here. Oops, 9 of... You need 10 bones. Dang it. Embarrassing.